Okay guys, it's time for another one of these Habs news update thingymajiggys, and in today's jiggy, we got some interesting little bits to chat about. Like, where's Marty St. Louis and why isn't he signed yet? Who's Kirby Dach and why are the Canadiens linked to him? What kind of information did Shane Wright reveal to Marco Damico? And why is Andre the Giant trying to choke out Cole Caulfield? But first, starting things off, let's get the juicy Martin St. Louis stuff right out of the way. Because fans are beginning to panic, okay? Martin St. Louis, he came into town last year as the interim head coach, and it didn't take too long before the city began to treat this guy like he was a member of the Beatles. They were really digging him. He seemed to have a good relationship with a lot of the players on the team, and Kent Hughes made it sound like St. Louis was going to be signed right away after the season had ended. Even St. Louis himself hinted around, threw out some clues that he was going to be around next year. So, what the hell is going on here, and why is it taking so long? Well, apparently there's no need to get your panties in knots just yet. Kent Hughes was on a podcast earlier this week, and when they asked him about Marty St. Louis, Hughes pretty much told them that it would be wrapped up by the end of this week or next week. So there you have it. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm expecting what? Like maybe a 3-year deal for Marty St. Louis? Maybe a free turkey and a sack of spuds around Christmas time? All that jazz? Let me know how many years you think. Now also, it's worth pointing out on this very same podcast, they did bring up the sensitive subject of Carey Price. And Hughes, after guzzling down a bit of bubbly, he didn't really have too much of an update. But one thing that he did say that kind of caught my attention was this, quote, "We're able to emphasize with him, and obviously there's a timeline that's in place for him to get better and to get back to being a full-time goalie. But, get a load of this, there is a timeline for us as well. We hope they match up." You see that? Kent Hughes is beginning to sound like a man who wants some clarity on Carey Price as well, so he can move on and prepare for the future. I'm telling you, it's a busy offseason for Kent Hughes. Moving on, Marco Damico had the opportunity to sit down and interview Shane Wright, and after threatening him with a piece of bamboo and maybe some peanut butter, he managed to get young Shane to talk. Wright would speak about his leadership qualities and how he was a good mentor for his line mates this season. He spoke about his defensive role on the team, and most importantly, he spoke about his ability to play under pressure. Okay, because he knows that Montreal is a pressure cooker. He's aware of that. And Wright, he doesn't seem to care at all. He would go on to say that he hates to lose, and he's confident that he can bring a winning culture to any locker room. Damn. Say what you like about this guy, but Shane Wright seems to have a lot of confidence. Next up on the list, we got Kirby Dach of the Chicago Blackhawks. And apparently they're thinking that this guy could be on the trade market. I don't know why. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, but he's a big, rugged young centerman that was picked third overall by the Blackhawks in 2019. They used to compare this kid to Ryan Getzlaf, and some Habs journalists have been kicking the tires on the possibility of Kent Hughes going out and trying to acquire this guy. Now, personally, I don't see it happening. I mean, they've already got Suzuki, they've got Christian Dvorak under contract, and if they do take Shane Wright at the draft, then what the hell are they going to do with old Furby anyway? Maybe it's Marty that wants Dach. He's a bit of an interesting project, but in order to get a guy like Kirby Dach, you're probably going to have to part ways with a few pieces of the puzzle that you don't really want to have to part ways with. Moving on, the Laval Rocket have gone on a complete rampage since they entered the playoffs. Most recently, it was Rochester that they swept under the rug, and this has been a lot of fun to watch. We got Danik Martel and Sami Niku leading the way. They've got 8 points each in 8 games played. And it's worth mentioning that Caden Primo, despite looking rough as a cow's tongue during his time with the Canadiens this season, has been playing really well with the Laval Rocket during these playoffs. And that's good. That's what he needs. I hope he gets to stay the entire year in Laval next season because I think that's what's best for his development. And yeah, it's just a good story seeing Primo bounce back and look pretty good towards the end of the year. Good for Primo. Make sure you keep an eye on these guys throughout the remainder of the playoffs because it's been beautiful. Now, last but not least, we got former Montreal Canadien Big George Lorac offering up his services to the team that drafted him all the way back in 1995. I'm talking the Edmonton Oilers. Why? Because, well, that's why. He wasn't too happy watching Mike Smith getting run over by Lucic the other night. Now, Lucic, he's got a little bit of history with this sort of thing. Just ask Ryan Miller. And I'm not really sure what his intentions are here running into, 82-year-old Mike Smith. He claims he tried to stop and it wasn't intentional. I guess, hey, that's for you to decide. Because like Brendan Gallagher, I'm not pointing any fingers. Anyway, guys, that does it for this Habs news update. Don't forget to punch the like button right on the beak on the way out of here. And hey, see you next time.